Hello and welcome to this episode of Bedhead Music Ed. I am your host, Lindsay Richardson, and I'm so glad that you're here today. I have been having so much fun making these videos for you, but it's also been such a challenge, and I've really grown to enjoy all of the things that I'm doing, and I'm super excited about today's topic. The topic for today is beatboxing, and I know that's not really something that most people do. It's a pretty popular art form, and definitely in pop culture. I mean, we have a cappella groups that use it as accompaniment, and it's just something fun to do. But I wanted to talk about the history behind beatboxing, and I wanted to teach you a little bit about how to beatbox and see if I could get some beatboxing in myself to polish up my skills. So without further ado, here we go. There's not a lot of history about beatboxing out there that I could find, but I did find one source of people who are really passionate about beatboxing and wanted to kind of share their passion with the world. Beatboxing was created in New York City as a part of the hip-hop culture in Harlem. This happened in the early to mid-80s, and it was a really cool way to make music with the people around you and to definitely buy into this awesome new culture that was evolving at this time. So beatboxing is making sounds and making music using your mouth, your throat, and your nose. And that sounds kind of silly, but I mean, even if you just plug your nose like this, it changes your sound. So I'm sure that if you were to do something from the inside of your body to change how your nose is releasing that sound, those sound waves, then I'm sure that you could create music like that too. And of course, your throat is involved because that's where your voice box is. Voice box, beatbox. And that is how we speak, that's how we sing, and so of course it makes perfect sense that your throat and your mouth are both involved in beatboxing just like they are in singing and talking. So the information that I gathered was from humanbeatbox.com. It's this group of people, like I said, who are super passionate about beatboxing, and they're working to compile a complete history of beatboxing because, like I said, there's really not a lot of information out there, and so it's important that these people are working so hard to find this information and to share it with the world, because I think everybody really should know where beatboxing comes from because it's such a cool art form. The name beatboxing came from these drum machines or beat machines that were created to have sounds. I know that my band teacher friends, they love to use metronomes, and especially the fancy metronomes where they could have like all of these things going on. I know back at my current school, my band director, I hear his beatboxing thing going off all the time through the walls and through the hallway, and I'm like, all right, but it's actually really, really cool because that's where beatboxing came from. It was inspired from those beat making machines. So now that we've covered the basic history of what we can find about beatboxing, I want to talk about how beatboxing is done and how you can do it. And I'm going to give you some things that you can do to practice your beatboxing skills as I practice mine. So the first thing is, to beatbox, you really have to use a lot of air, because even though I'm talking to you right now, if I stop using as much air, it's very apparent. So like, this is me talking and projecting and using my air and all of those wonderful things, and this is how I talk normally. This is the normal volume of my voice, and I'm sure that you could barely hear it compared to the projecting version of my voice. I'm not making this change based on hurting my throat or anything like that. It's simply just using more air and using my mouth in a more efficient way. So like I said, beatboxing takes a lot of air, and I wanted to take a second to talk about the best way to take a nice deep breath, because this is something that we use in chorus, in band, in orchestra, and just even in public speaking and lots of different aspects of our lives where we might need to speak up and we don't necessarily want to hurt our voices by doing so. So the first thing is, when you take a breath, you need to use all of your lungs. Your lungs are actually pretty large. So this is my waist, and these are my shoulders. So shoulders, waist. Your lungs actually take up this much of your body. That's so much space. Look at that. That's like huge. And they're much bigger than you think. They go up a lot further than you think, and they go down a lot further than you think. And if you fill them all the way up with air, you should be able to take a really nice breath. When you take a really deep breath, you're not only filling up your lungs this way, but you're also filling them up going backwards and to either side. So your lungs are expanding in all directions in order to take in more air so that you can breathe and speak and do all of the things that you need to do. Now, there is a difference between breathing for life, which is what you do automatically without even thinking about it, even when you're asleep. And then you have breathing for music, which I like to say breathing for singing in my class, but breathing for musical activities where you have to use all of your lungs. When you breathe in for musical activities, you don't actually want to hear your breath. So you don't want it to sound like this. because that just means that it's taking your body more energy to bring the air in and you're actually trying to do something. The air will come in on its own. So all you have to do is just release your lungs and let the air in. And I don't know if you could hear that. I could barely even hear myself. I showed you where your lungs are, here. And there's a muscle right here that's called your diaphragm. Your diaphragm is a muscle that will move downward and upward when you are breathing. So it goes down when you're breathing in so that your lungs have more room. And it goes up when you're breathing out so that it can help push the air out. The biggest reason why you need a lot of air in order to beatbox is because you are sending a lot of air out. So now I'm going to tell you about the basic sounds of beatboxing. The first one I like to represent with the letter P. The sound relating to the letter P is the one that you would use to represent the bass drum of a drum set. And it sounds like this. You can also do it with the letter B. And it sounds basically the same. The difference between P and B is a voiced and unvoiced consonant. Voiced is the one that you are actually using your vocal cords for, B. And unvoiced is the one where you're just using air, P. I prefer this one when I'm beatboxing personally, but if this one works better for you, then use it, please, by all means. So again, here's this sound. Again, I'm not very good at this. I'm just trying my best. The next sound that we're going to talk about is represented by the letter K. Now, it's not like a because that's a little wimpy. We want like a, and you notice I took in a lot of breath. I don't know if you can hear me breathing, so that probably wasn't very good. Let me do it without breathing in with a sound. Let me do it breathing in without any sound. That's what it should sound like. If you were to put them together, you could do this. And that's a basic start of your beat. The next letter I'm going to talk about is the letter T, and we also have TS. I mentioned both of them around the same time because they have similar sounds. So T sounds like T, and TS sounds like Tss. Do you hear the difference? They're both symbols, but one is a little bit quicker, and one is more extended. So we have T and Tss. If we were to put those four together, we could go. I'm not gonna do that. I'm not very good at beatboxing, but you get the point. So how cool is that? When you add them all together, it actually sounds like something interesting. The next one that we're gonna talk about is one that I give the letters PF to. So it's kind of like a little flourish on the end of that. It's not necessarily like a big bass drum hit. It's more like a The next one is my personal favorite. This is how I spell it. It's like a record scratching. Okay? I feel really cool right now. And the last one is kind of a modification of the very first sound that we learned. It's like it's more like an electronic bass sound instead of like a bass drum on an instrument. It's more like a okay, yeah, those are the sounds. So when you have these sounds, all you have to do is layer them one next to each other or layer them one on top of another, and that's how you create your beat. So here's my first challenge for you today. I want you to see if you can find somebody in your family who lives in the house with you and ask them if they would be interested in trying beatboxing. You can even show them this video so they could get the basic sounds of and see if they can help you. So you'll have one person doing one sound and another person doing another sound, and depending on how many people are in your family, you could have one person for each sound. I don't know, that would be really cool. But all you would have to do is go back and forth. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to try and do what I failed at last time and split screen myself making those sounds so I can create my own beat. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and then we have... So, what'd you think? I hope that you enjoyed learning how to beatbox. Again, my challenge for you is to go and see if you can find somebody in your family who is willing to beatbox with you so that you guys can create a beat. And then maybe you could find somebody else who can rap on top of it. I don't know. I think that would be a really fun activity since we're all kind of stuck in our houses at this point in time. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like, share, subscribe, comment, all of those wonderful things. I hope that you're having a great day. I hope that you're doing wonderful things even though you may be stuck inside your house. I'm so thankful for all of you that have watched this video, and I hope to see you soon. Bye-bye. And I'm going to show you how large they are. Can you see me? Okay, so you can at least see my mouth now, but your lungs, head, shoulders, knees, and toes, and then there's something, hopefully have a pee. And the next one we're gonna, really good. I don't know. Okay. I want you to go find a friend. Not in this political climate. Not in this day and age. We don't need to find friends. We need to stay at home. And we're waiting, and we're making some space in the video. Making some space in the video. Making some space. Making some space in the video. Yeah. Okay.